Hello again, everyone from Tokyo, Japan, or somewhere around Tokyo. I'm not in Tokyo right now. I'm in the sticks outside the city, somewhere near Kawagoe. Just out exploring and enjoying the fitness ride and just getting out of town. And interesting. Sports festival. Wow. Pretty interesting. A little loud. Sports festivals are a common thing here in Japan. All the school kids here have to take place in them. There's a opening ceremony and then the events themselves and the closing ceremony, and it's a very big event, and its focus or intent is to I guess make kids aware of fitness, and sports in Japan is a big thing. Fitness for kids. These sports festivals are often very competitive and very grueling, and heat exhaustion and other problems sometimes happen. Wow, no traffic this time. As you can see, this is kind of the middle of nowhere. More kids in the countryside. There are lots of schools out here, and I guess housing is bigger here, cost of living is lower, so people can more easily afford to have kids. In Tokyo, you walk around on the weekends in the stores, you don't see many of them, or at least in the middle part of the city. Out here, stores are crowded with kids on the weekends. You go to convenience stores, like in my neighborhood, they have a handful of things for sale for kids, like kids' candies, kids' toys, things like that, whereas out here in the countryside, they have like a whole aisle dedicated to this stuff. It's nice. Much as I like living in the city and in a good part of the city, I often envy the life out here where it's quieter, greener, smells better, and the people are more friendly. Cafe Chokoto. It says 50 meters this way, but it's like 50 meters across a mud field. I don't think I'm going to Cafe Chokoto today. Yeah, it's nice out here. It gets pretty hot in the summer, and bugs are bad out here. I've been riding through clouds of gnats. And I mean, it's like sometimes my helmet sounds like I'm going through the rain. I hit them like that, and not to mention the other bugs here, the dragonflies, grasshoppers, and everything else. Haven't seen any of the Suzume Bachi, that's the giant hornets. The park by where I live, Hinokicho Park, they closed off part of the park because apparently these hornets have a nest in there somewhere and they're attacking people, so they had to close off the park so people wouldn't get stung by the hornets. The good thing about living out here in the countryside is you can have more than one car. Like we have a car here, but parking for a single car is expensive. Parking for two cars is ludicrous. I have to go off course here and do a little gravel riding. I'm on my GT carbon grade, my Tour Divide bike. Here's the postman. Oh no, he's not the postman, he's a guy checking utilities. Oh, kitty cat. Looks like he's got to catch a grasshopper. Yeah, it's so beautiful out here. Maybe beautiful is an exaggeration, but maybe it's just because it's so different from where I live. Grass is always greener somewhere else. And the longer you live in a place, the browner it seems to get. Okay, sure. I think this is the way. If it isn't, I'll have to turn around and come back. Rice has been harvested already. My daughter got to do a little rice harvesting practice with her classmates, just as she got to do a little rice planting activity in the springtime. Big helicopter up there. There's a pilot school nearby here. I don't like helicopters. When I was a kid, I thought they were cool. Just like I thought airplanes were cool. Then I joined the Army and went to airborne school and learned to jump out of airplanes and helicopters. And I didn't like it. First, I'm not great with heights. And airplanes and helicopters go pretty high. Second, I get airsick pretty easily. And Army airplanes and helicopters aren't known for having a smooth, comfortable, and easy ride. And if the Air Force is driving, I think they actually have like a air sickness mode in the cockpit, which they turn on to make all of us Army people throw up. Certainly worked in my case. More clouds of gnats. All right, so Kawagoe is to my right. A little hay fever here. So I'm on my way now to Tokyo Bay, which I believe from here is about 55 or 60 kilometers, more or less, along this course. And my goal for today is 120 kilometers, around 75 miles, 75-ish miles. Not very long ride. The terrain isn't really all that rough, but got about 30 kilometers of urban riding to get through. That is riding through the denser parts of the city. 20 kilometers of riding from Roppongi to what is that? Ukima Koen. Across the river from Saitama, and then another 35 kilometers out to here, and then back to Tokyo Bay, and then from there about 15 kilometers of even denser city to get back home. And on top of that, it's uphill. When I get off of the river cycling course here by Tokyo Bay, I always stop at the McDonald's and have a double cheeseburger value meal. I appreciate it a lot, especially after going to America last month and eating McDonald's there. McDonald's here in Japan costs half now what it costs in America. I suppose America's trying to solve its obesity problem. Inflation might be the answer. Luckily here, we haven't had any of that American scale inflation. So, still fairly reasonable here. And after I eat there, it gives me enough energy to ride the rest of the way home at a solid pace. I don't have all day to ride. But I have more time today than usual. So even though it's only, what's today, October 2nd, or the 1st, so whatever day it is, I don't know. I'm already preparing for the Tour Divide. It's 7 or 8 months away. 8 months away, 9 months away. As you can tell, I'm not very good at math. But yeah, I figure it's never too early to prepare. And though I'm not really working on the fitness and endurance part of riding the Tour Divide right now, what I'm doing is just keeping my body acclimated to the bike and making sure that my butt remains comfortable on the saddle, that I keep the tendons and ligaments and such in shape, because those are the things which tend to give you the most problems when you don't prepare long enough in advance. Muscles are fine, endurance is fine, but there are certain parts of your body that you need to be careful to prepare. Sore muscles go away in a few days. Sore tendons and ligaments can take a lot longer. And I experienced some of this earlier this year when I got back onto my bike after the winter season. Had some trouble with Achilles tendon on my right leg, and my left knee was a little bit annoying for a while. But after a month or so, they strengthened up, the pain went away, and I've been riding comfortably since. The bike is complete. I can't think of really anything that I could add to it. It's been about as upgraded as I can upgrade it I could go for more expensive, lighter weight wheels, which I may do, but probably not. I think it's more important now to focus on what I'm going to take with me. So I have the bags. I got a full set of Apidura bags which fit the bike. I've got a seat bag, a big one, a frame bag, a handlebar bag, and a couple of smaller ones. I have the aero bar and such, but not going to be using that yet. The good thing about this Data Super Zero bar is it's flat on top, and I find that here when I'm riding around in the city or on the trail, not so much in the city, it's wide enough where I can just lean over and put my forearms on it, and it gives me enough support and that way I can rest my hands. And the flat tops on the bars also give you a different place to hold on to. So the gear I have to take with me, clothing of course, things which are flexible, some things, things which will keep me warm when it's cold, and other things I can wear when it's hot. Gear for the rain. I don't mind riding in the rain so much. I do that enough here. Whenever I go out on a ride here and I decide to go out and ride, I'm pretty much committed to it, and I stick with it come hell or high water. And if it starts raining, I don't stop, I just keep going. I often ride at the Yoyogi Park cycling course, which is about 5 kilometers from where I live. It's a pretty good place to ride. It's always in the shade. There are toilets there, there's water, there are a couple of snack shops and a small restaurant, so if I get hungry or thirsty or whatever, I can find whatever I need there. And if I get tired or something goes wrong, I'm not far from home. I haven't been out here very much recently because it's just been too darn hot for the most of August. 35 degrees Celsius and 80+% humidity is not great riding weather, especially out here where you're under the sun all the time. It's not pleasant, but we've definitely had the change in the seasons here, and it's cooling down a fair amount, and today is nice. It'll be a high of 31 degrees today. The only thing that concerned me today is the wind. As always happens when I ride out here and then I have to ride back, the wind always changes, and I end up riding into a stupid headwind all the way toward Tokyo Bay. I came out here last Tuesday, and for the first time in forever, the wind worked the opposite way, and it helped push me all the way to Tokyo Bay, which was a blessing, and broke some of my personal records on Strava. Of course, this is nothing like the Tour Divide. The altitude isn't here. Everything is paved here. It's covered with concrete or asphalt, gravel and dirt. Few and far between, though. I do plan to get used to those before the start of the event. Japan luckily has a pretty large amount of countryside and mountains. Mountain biking is very popular here. And there are lots of trails here, lots of downhill courses. Here will be the last of the gravel before I get back. What's amazing is this bike, it's so buttery smooth even over this. The Rudy fork is amazing, and the triple triangle design of the back of the bike also works very well. Not that this is an especially challenging patch of gravel, but this bike is much smoother than my other bike, which I've ridden on this course. A little thirsty here, and some Calpis water. The name doesn't sound very appetizing, but it's pretty good. Make sure the lid's on tight. Need every drop today. Konnichiwa. Up ahead in the distance I can see the skyline of Omiya, which is I guess the capital city of Saitama Prefecture. And off to my right, deep in the haze, is Tokyo itself. So far the wind isn't terrible. And hopefully it won't make my ride back miserable. The good thing about the change in the seasons here is that the winds vary. A couple of grasshoppers getting it on there. And you're more likely to get friendly wind in these seasons than at other times. I've got onigiri in my pocket, which I will eat after another 20 or 30 minutes. What is an onigiri? There it is. You can see it. Harami, grilled fish. It's delicious. Very oily, which gives you more energy on long rides. A lot of people may want to know what you should eat on endurance rides. And most people tend to just eat everything. But in case of endurance animals, like I used to have huskies, and I was really interested in dog sledding. And I was looking at the diet for the sled dogs in competitions, and their diet is pretty much exclusively protein and fat. So 40% protein and 60% fat, and that allows a 40-pound dog to pull a burden for as much as 100 miles a day in pretty brutal conditions. All right, I gotta cross this other street here. I could go under, but wow, and of course all the traffic at once. Could have gone under. Oh well. My timing up to now had been pretty good. Toyota Vitz moves out of the way. Alrighty. Back in the saddle again. But yeah, protein and fat are the magic ingredients. I used to race when I was younger, and I always found that the proper diet made a really huge difference in performance. It's not so much what you eat during the ride, but what you eat the day before it. And basically the day and evening before. I would load up on protein, fat, and carbs. Basically, my favorite, whoa, clouds of gnats. Was pork fried rice, which I got from a cheap Chinese restaurant which was nearby. The stuff was full of the worst possible stuff. Very fatty pork, really greasy rice, but it was tasty, and I would buy a quart of it and start eating it at lunchtime and eat it all the way through the evening, and I would make a double-digit improvement in my performance the next day. It was miraculous. Those people I passed are part of the landscaping crew. They're cutting down the forest here. I won't mind that. Goes a long way to reducing the population of gnats. And literally they're peppering me now. Luckily, this isn't a really hot day, only 31 degrees. If it were hotter, I'd be really sweaty, and that gnats would stick to my sweat and drown in it. And when they drown, they wiggle around a lot and they get really itchy. So it's not pleasant. All right. Clouds and clouds and clouds. If they got any thicker. Wow, wow, huge cloud of them. Jeez. At least they don't bite. But they are getting in my ears. But 63 kilometers to go. There should be another 50 kilometers to Tokyo Bay and Kazai Rinkai Park. This says that they're doing maintenance. Some light at the end of the tunnel up ahead. If there were a tailwind here or a headwind, I wouldn't feel it because I'm kind of screened on both sides. I guess that is one benefit to the overgrowth here. We'll see which way it blows once I get out of it. Hopefully it's in my favor. A lot of animals I hear in the grass scampering away, mostly reptiles. I did see a weasel last week. Never saw one of those out here. Ah, the wind's from behind, how wonderful. Slight tailwind. They always slow down when I go by so they don't spit grass or who knows what at me. minced snake. All right. And we've been kind of going in a right-hand circle since I got onto this trail. And Omiya is more or less to the left. Kawagoe is now to the right, and Tokyo is dead ahead. Pretty soon should be able to see the sky tree. On my right are a bunch of buildings. It's almost like a prison, except with more windows. It's actually a housing development, one of the old school ones. They're called danshi here in Japan. And these were built back in the 50s and 60s to house the people who were coming into Tokyo to work. And it was necessary. They needed lots of labor here, lots of workers, and they needed a place for them to live. So they built these countless developments outside the city called danshi. And many of them, like this one, I'll stop up here a little bit. They're kind of like a small self-contained city, and you see a lot of them out here in I guess this area is Tama, this part of Tokyo. And there you can see them. The buildings are always marked as say A1, B1, C1, whatever. And besides the housing, they have gardens and playgrounds for kids, and there's a convenience store. And over here on the left side is a elementary school with a swimming pool and everything. And they have a little bus station inside which takes people either to the station or to other bus stops in the city. And yeah, that was the way a lot of people lived in those days. There aren't so many danshi left now. The city has kind of grown outward and consumed them and turned them into industrial or more conventional residential areas. I am thirsty. This is one of the bigger danshi. There's bigger ones, and like Kunitachi has really big ones, and Chiba. They have a really huge one. But these buildings all have simple 2-bedroom apartment, and these all have stairs. They don't have elevators, so if you live on the 5th floor there, you've got to walk up 5 flights of stairs. There's a newer building far off the left which has elevators, but yeah, nowadays these are largely low-income housing or senior housing. There isn't much demand for either because the cost of housing in Japan and even Tokyo is not high. All right, I can really use a cola, and it's so wonderful to live in Japan where they have these machines. So I'm gonna get something to drink and I'll be right back. On the road again. That hit the spot. Cold, wet, sweet, with a lot of caffeine. Some late summer hay fever this year. Pretty bad this year compared to usual. And I've still got a little bit of a residual cough left. So, apologize for the annoying cough. If and when I do it. Breeze feels good. You don't see a lot of graffiti here in Japan, but sometimes you do. One of those guys with a really loud free hub. Don't really like loud free hubs, though. They are handy when you're trying to let people know you're coming from behind. They can hear you. Especially handy if you don't have a bell on your bike. All right, now it's a headwind. Figures. Still in Saitama. Green Cross Golf Course ahead. Country club. Golf is a popular hobby in Japan. I don't know why. Japanese are religious golfers. I've tried it. And it's probably better off for everyone that I don't play golf. Managed to hit one car with a golf ball in one window. Oh, wow. That one went right down the hatch, that bug. A lot of people are a little scared of the traffic here in Japan. Cycle tourists and bike packers often complain that the roads here are narrow and congested. Obviously they're narrow. This particular one isn't especially congested, but I feel safer cycling in Japan than anywhere else. I've lived in New York and LA and Houston and Miami, and I've spent time and enjoyed cycling in other cities, and I find Japan to be the safest place for cycling. It may seem to some people that the traffic comes a little close here, but by Japanese standards, it's not so close. Everyone knows how to ride a bike in Japan, and because everyone is aware that bikes are on the roads and cycling courses and things like that are everywhere. And also about 15% of the population in the greater Tokyo area rides a bike every day. And we have 13 million people in Tokyo itself, and some 35 million in the greater metro area. And 15% of that number is vast. And if cycling weren't reasonably safe here in Japan, people wouldn't do it. I go cycling sometimes with my daughter, she's 9, and we ride on the roads, and I certainly wouldn't ride with her on the roads if I thought they weren't safe. People here may come close from time to time in the car, but they're not going to hit you, and they certainly won't do anything intentionally, because the laws here for vehicles hitting cyclists and pedestrians are very skewed in the favor of pedestrians and cyclists. And Japan doesn't believe in the concept of accident. In Japan, any vehicle collision is considered an act of negligence. And someone is hurt or injured, it becomes a crime. And if someone dies, it becomes a serious crime. If 2 or more people die, it becomes a capital crime. So Japan's criminal justice system is not very lenient as things go. If you kill a cyclist with your car or a pedestrian, you'll go to jail, and it's mandatory. Even if the cyclist or pedestrian was predominantly at fault, it's the motorist who bears the burden of the responsibility. And this is Japan's strategy to keep the roads safer. It may not sound fair, but Japan believes that an unfair system is a much more effective deterrent than an unfair system, or should I say a fair system. Rather than trying to improve safety by making things safer, Japan prefers to do it by making people safer. It's an odd approach, but it works. In America and other places, especially America, the approach is to try to make things safer and safer. For example, safer cars, safer bicycles, safer mixing machines, safer ladders. But the reality is that you can't make a thing safe and expect it to remain safe if you put it in dangerous hands. You would think that a pillow is a very safe object, but many murders have been committed using pillows. America simply can't wrap its head around the idea that safety is dependent on people, not on the things which people use. A great example is cars. Now, if I buy a Toyota Camry here in Japan, it looks exactly the same as a Camry sold in America. Same looking body, same color, same material for the seats and carpet on the inside, but I'll go this way. I don't want to go down that way. I don't want to do that much gravel. So, Yeah, they look the same. They smell the same. The only obvious difference is in Japan, the steering wheel is on the right side. But the Japanese Camry weighs a lot less than the American Camry because it doesn't have the reinforcements in the doors or in the bumpers or roof. It doesn't have reinforced window pillars. It doesn't have a smaller gas tank tucked into a safer place. If I tried to bring a new Japanese Camry to America, they won't let me drive it because they say it's unsafe to operate on American roads and highways. But the traffic fatality rate here in Japan is 6 times lower per capita than America. So these unsafe cars, which cannot be driven on American roads, are statistically safer than the heavier, more gas guzzling and more expensive ones sold in America. Except that it's not the car, it's the driver. Rather than trying to make cars safer and safer and safer, which is a fool's errand, Japan concentrates on making drivers safer. So licensing standards here are really, really high. Getting a license here takes a lot of effort, a lot of time, and a lot of money. It cost me about $3,000 to get a license in Japan. In America, I had a Class A license. For those of you who don't know what a Class A license is, it means I can drive pretty much anything with wheels. Tractor trailers, school buses, middle-sized trucks, all the way down to passenger cars. And to get an A license, you have to take all the written tests. When I got my license in California, I believe it was like a A through C or A through D. In Florida, it's A through E. I got mine in California. I remember I took my test in Vallejo, not far from the Bay Area. Total cost for a Class A license and physical exam certificate was $375. So much more expensive just to get a car license in Japan. In America, I didn't really go to a driving school to learn how to drive a truck. I studied the handbook very carefully and I practiced driving just a few times, unfortunately. Wish I'd have had more time to practice, but driving a truck and a trailer, and I got the license. But here, it's a lot different and a lot more difficult, and the emphasis is always on safety, always on responsibility, always on being careful, always on paying attention. Anyone who gets a license here knows the consequences of getting into injury, collision, or fatal collision, and dealing with Japan's infamous so-called criminal justice system. So they're safe here, and as I said, the laws are quite severe. In America in recent years, it seems that they've relaxed the enforcement of many laws, and the results are mayhem. Here in Japan, things tend to go the other way. They become a bit more, I guess, safety oriented, and the results here are that crime has been decreasing at a rate more than the decline of the population. People here obey the law because the consequences of not doing so are very severe. And it's kind of a long-winded way to explain why cycling here in Japan is safe. All right, I can see the Tokyo skyline way out ahead. Directly in front of me would be in a line Shinjuku through Shibuya, and further to the left would be the more downtown area around Marunouchi and Otemachi, and further to the left I can see the sky tree way out in the distance. I have to go past the sky tree to Tokyo Bay. That's still a long ways from here. Another 40 kilometers or so. But anyway, I'm tired of talking. I need to breathe a little while, so I'll be back. Alrighty, 101 kilometers into my ride, and the headwind I was dreading is here. I expected it, but I hate to be proven right, even to myself. Anyway, about 10 kilometers to go to Tokyo Bay and the park, and meal at McDonald's. Good workout today though. Anyway, nice headwind and a hill. Get to the top up here, I'll catch my breath and have a drink of water. Day continues to be nice. Kept up a pretty good pace until now. But miserable as it is, I'm still having fun. And I'm already looking forward to doing this again. Anyway, I'll see you again, or you'll see me again, or you'll see what I'm seeing again when I get to Tokyo Bay. Alrighty guys, 111.1 kilometers and straight ahead is Tokyo Bay. As far as I wanted to go in this direction, so this suspension bridge ahead is where I'm going to get off of the cycling course here, and then go have the double cheeseburger value meal, which I've been looking forward to for hours. Been pretty tough. If it weren't for the wind, it would have been the last 50 kilometers would have been fairly pleasant. But it wasn't. It sucked. But anyway, it's good practice, and builds character, as the dads of my childhood like to say. So I'll go ahead and get off here. Whew, it's worse under the bridges. They call the Venturi effect or something like that. the wind squeezes under the bridge and gets worse. So it wasn't bad enough. Anyway, finally getting off the Arakawa River Trail. Go this way. It's quite pleasant. The only problem is the way the wind is blowing is not the way I want to go. It's the opposite way. So McDonald's is about 1.2 kilometers. I'm not looking at navigation. I just know how far it is because it's where I always stop to eat when I do this run or ride, whatever you want to call it. The one negative thing about getting out of the headwind is it's much hotter. The thing about cycling is a summer sport. As long as you keep moving, you stay kind of cool, especially when the climate is drier. When it's more humid, like it was last month, it doesn't make too much of a difference, but it helps. Does this truck wait? Nope. But he bows politely. Anyway, I'm next to the port, which is over on the left side. Or part of the port. The port goes on forever. I could ride until nighttime and follow the port along Tokyo Bay here, from here all the way to Yokohama. But this is the northeastern limit of it. If I had thought to bring a lock for my bike, I might go into that shopping mall up ahead, the Eon shopping mall. They have all kinds of stuff in there. Eon food style. They have a food court in there with lots of good stuff. Kojima Big Camera Tsunamo. Some of these shopping malls have their own unique name, like Tsunamo. But as I said, I didn't bring a lock for my bike, so I will just go to McDonald's. Normally drivers in Japan aren't that stupid, because the fines here are ridiculous if you drive like that. If you do that in your driving test, if you take it on the street, they'll make you get out of the car and get in the back seat. Woo. don't see really many big trucks here. But then again, we're by the port, so I guess we're going to see a few bigger trucks. I'm going to squeeze over here because I've got no room on the left. Okay. Looks like someone else had the same idea. All right, here we are. Mission accomplished. After I eat here, I've only got 15 more kilometers of urban traffic to navigate through before I get home. But anyway, I'm happy to be this far. So, time for lunch. Alrighty guys, getting closer to home, which means getting closer to the heavy traffic. Technically I'm on a bicycle lane here, but you wouldn't know it. Old Atai Bridge, which has been here ever, survived World War II. One of the girders up above has a big dent in it from being hit by a bomb dropped by a B-29, but luckily the bomb didn't explode and the bridge is still here. And skyline over the left. Sakuda. I used to live over there. Pretty nice place. Close to the middle of the city, not far from Tokyo Station. That's where these buses are going, is to Tokyo Station. These are a pretty good way to get around to some of the other prefectures. The highway buses, they run at night when the trains don't. You can take overnight buses from here to Nagoya or Hiroshima, or pretty much anywhere. Price is reasonable. Seats more comfortable than on the train. They generally have places where you can put your bags. It's not a bad way to get around. When I first moved to Japan and I lived in Chiba, I used to come to Tokyo on the highway bus, and the bus fare was 1,500 yen. This is about 90 kilometers from the coast in Chiba to here. So 1,500 yen. If I took the train, it would be about 1,200 yen. So the bus was more expensive, but to take the train I had to change trains twice to get here. Whereas the bus brought me directly to the station, and it took about 20 minutes less time. So not a bad way to get around. If you want to go surfing out to the beach in Chiba, you can get the Seaside Liner bus here from Tokyo Station and just take it out toward Chiba. Area where we're going to now is Hachobori. Bori is the Japanese word for moat, and back in the Edo period, we're already kind of within the outer limits of the Edo-jo, or castle, even though it's almost 2 kilometers away to the right, the center of the castle. We would technically be inside the castle grounds, though the main gates are over to the right. The entire outer circumference of the castle, 18 kilometers, making it the world's largest castle. And much of what is Tokyo today is situated within the limits of what was formerly the castle where the shogun lived. And one of his strategies for keeping the peace and keeping control of the people was keeping them busy by building a huge castle with millions of stones in a place where there aren't any stones or rocks. So all of them had to be hauled from the mountains here to build the world's largest castle. And over to my left is kind of a small bridge and park. It used to be a moat which has been filled in. And in Ginza, there's a highway which runs through the middle of Ginza and goes out toward Haneda and the Rainbow Bridge. That was a moat, and also Showadori. Now, I gotta go quick here if I'm going to catch the next series of lights green. Otherwise, I have to stop a few times, and I don't like to stop. I'm 120 kilometers into my ride, but I still have some energy. All right. Almost. Go, 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 go. That was close. Police car there. See if he tries to come back and get me. Probably not. All right, this will take a spin through Ginza. It's on the way. Tokyo's most famous shopping district for a century. Fair bit of traffic here. That's why cycling is such a good way to get around. This would be like the Fifth Avenue of Tokyo. Always under construction. Whoa. Always remodeling, rebuilding, redoing something here. This area which I'm driving through now, the Ginza district, it's not really very big. I'm gonna go through here carefully. Less than a square mile. Used to be the most expensive district on earth. This area here had a higher real estate value than lower 48 United States combined. You had New York City, Chicago, Los Angeles, and everywhere else together, and every other city in the lower 48 states and it wasn't as valuable as this square mile of land in the middle of Tokyo. Crazy. And it is crawling with tourists. Shops are doing well. Alright. Nice Jaguar. A lot of people just have a nice car so they can drive it up and down the street. They'll never really go anywhere else in it. Nissan Crossing. I think they're trying to steal the name here. Over to the right used to be the Rico building. Now I guess they're building something else there. They still have a lot of cool used camera shops here, or classic camera shops. Wow, hey, everyone taking pictures. G6 building. On those god-awful days I have to drive my car here. They have parking for it. My car is big, so it's kind of hard to find garages which will accept it. Often I go into a place to pull in my car to park it, and they cross their hands and say, no 7 Series, so I have to go and find another place. But at least there's one here. I used to live within walking distance here. Sakuta's not far. It's actually close enough to come dog walking around here, though. It's crazy to walk your dog through these crowds. But anyway, go ahead and sign off now so I can concentrate on the traffic, and I'll see you again soon. Alrighty. Getting in the home stretch here. Traffic is awful. Building a new building again. Yeah. Ah, thank you. We're in Akasaka right now. Headed up to what is used to be known as the High Town, or Yamanote. Since I left the McDonald's, I've been riding through, it's known as the Shitamachi, or downtown. My battery gave out before I did out. I guess my GoPro, or Ace Pro, is tired too. But in my neighborhood finally. 125 kilometers, perfect. And I kind of like this last gentle slope here because it's downhill and there's a nice breeze. And I can cool off just a little tiny bit. And right there's the Foreign Institute or Institute of Foreign Policy Studies. And on the right is the National Arts Center. Up ahead is Roppongi Hills. Buddhist temple. Tourist. All right. Looks like a new house here. Hope it's not ugly. And here it is, the end of the line, finally home. Find my keys. Pretty convenient, just hold the key here and open the door. Shut off Strava. Finished. Save. And all right. And then bicycle garage. And most apartment buildings in Japan have a bicycle garage. End of the line. Alrighty then, that's it for the video today. Yeah, please check back. I plan to make more videos as I have time. And if you'd like to see them, please subscribe. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you tune in again soon.